We're starting a new series this week with Grateful Hearts, and first up is Made for Gratitude. Hi everyone, and welcome to our Sunday Spoilers. It's a great opportunity for us to be able to gather together to just think about what worship can mean. Worship is an opportunity for us, for our story to interconnect with God's story. And as we gather each week for worship, we know that we do that in God's presence. We know that God does amazing things for us. This time of Sunday Spoilers is simply a chance for us to be prepared for that moment, to prepare our hearts for that moment, to think about what that might be like for us, to think about how God might be speaking into our lives. And so we take a look at the scripture that we're going to be looking at on Sunday and just kind of looking at some of the basic ideas of what that is. And so as we enter worship, we know that we are preparing our hearts to receive the goodness that is God. And this week we're starting a brand new sermon series, and that series is called With Grateful Hearts. And we're looking at the idea, obviously, of thanksgiving and offering thanks to God. As we get closer and closer to the actual day of Thanksgiving, it's hard to believe that we're in November already. But as that day approaches, we have this day on the calendar that reminds us to be thankful. We gather with our family and friends and we share a great meal. And it's a great time to just kind of take pause and look at life and to appreciate all the things that we have in life. And we know, just like many of the things that we talk about in church, that it's not just about a day. Christmas isn't just a day. Easter isn't just a day. It's the same with Thanksgiving. We know that we offer thanks in every way. We offer thanks every day. And so it's important for us to understand what that means. It's important for us to kind of have an understanding of how that helps us. In many ways, great gratitude is something that helps us to see things in a different way, from a different perspective. When we're grateful, when we have gratitude, we find ways to appreciate things. We find ways to appreciate what we have instead of mumbling and grumbling about what we don't have and wishing things could be better and wishing our lives could be in a different way. If we approach things from a grateful standpoint and a standpoint of gratitude, we take the time to intentionally focus on what we have and how important those things are and how thankful we are for those things. So our text for this Sunday is Luke 17, verses 11 through 19. Let's hear this text. Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except for this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." We often focus on this one Samaritan who's coming back. There were 10 there. There were 10 people who had leprosy. They encountered Jesus. Now, we've talked about leprosy before, and it's a horrible disease. It's something that forced them not only to endure this disease, but they were forced to be away from society. They were forced to not have contact. And anytime someone were to come around, they had to scream that they were unclean, that everyone had to know that they were unclean and to stay away from them. So you can imagine they're thinking that their life is not so great. They're looking for something better. They're looking for something better than what they have right now. They see Jesus. They know Jesus as someone who can do that for them. And it's interesting. He just simply says, "Go and see the priest." The only time that they would see the priest is if they were well. The way that the ritual worked was that once you were cleansed, once you were well, once you were healed of the disease, then you go to see the priest. The priest makes it official that they are now cleansed. But you only go there once you've been cleansed, once you've been healed. They approach Jesus, and Jesus just immediately says, "Go see the priest." So he knows there's healing coming in their lives. They don't necessarily know that at that point yet. Then it says that they were cleansed. And can you imagine what it would be like for them? Can you imagine the ecstasy that they would be going through, the elation that they would be going through? All the horrors of having this disease and having to be separated from everyone. We concentrate so much on the 9 others not coming back, and we often think that they're ungrateful. It's not necessarily that they were ungrateful. It's they were celebrating. They had other things going on. They hadn't seen their family in, who knows, maybe years. They wanted to go hug their wife and hug their kids and whatever. They wanted to have that experience again. And they were just so overjoyed by that they didn't think about this idea of gratitude, and the one Samaritan did. That, I think, shows us this idea of intentionality, that we can be intentional about being grateful. We can be intentional about being thankful, that we can appreciate the things that we have, that we can appreciate the life that God has given to us. And we know that God is the source. God is the source of all the good things that we experience. The Samaritan teaches us a lesson about to take that to the next step. Yes, we celebrate. Yes, we feel that joy, but we also find a way to express our thanks and to express what that means for us. And that helps us to have a whole new perspective on what life can be. So as we go into this worship, as we go into worship this Sunday, what are you grateful for? How has God made you and put you in a place where you can have something to be grateful for? How is that helping you see things differently? How are you able to live out this idea of gratitude in your life? Have a great week, everyone.